This December we will be getting a Doctor Who Christmas special for the first time in 6 years, marking Ncuti Gatwa's first full episode as the 15th Doctor. But what do we actually know about the plot of this special? Okay, so from Series 14 filming, we didn't actually manage to glean a lot of the information from the plot of the Christmas special. We mostly just saw a lot of Ncuti and the TARDIS, possibly Ncuti as the 15th Doctor using the sonic screwdriver on a door, Ruby Sunday seemingly entering the TARDIS for the first time, and possibly Michelle Greenidge's character being taken away in a taxi as Ruby shouts "Mum" after her. But we have recently got a Reddit leak that I saw floating around a couple weeks ago, or maybe even a month ago on Twitter, and honestly, when I first saw this, I didn't think much of it. Reddit leaks come and go all the time, and honestly, anybody can just make them up. So I read it, thought it was an interesting plot, and then just moved on because obviously it could just not be real at all. And while this still could be true, recently a prominent Doctor Who Twitter user has claimed to have insider knowledge that supports this leak in some now deleted tweets. I'm not going to mention the user because they have now deleted the tweets, like I said, and they clearly don't want to associate with this leak anymore, and they honestly seem to feel bad for leaking this in the first place, as they don't want to undermine the hard work that's gone into the show, which I 100% agree with, but I have read it myself and just found it really interesting. But obviously there is a strong possibility this is true, and if you don't want it spoiled for you at all, this is a very in-depth plot leak, so if you don't want anything spoiled for you at all, I'm giving you a possible major spoiler warning right now, and if you don't want anything at all spoiled for the plot of the Christmas special, you can turn the video off now, so don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, so this leak is titled "Spoilers for the 2023 Christmas Special from a Source," and it reads, "Hello, I don't want to say how I got this information, so believe me if you wanna. The episode is called The Church on Ruby Road. Here is a full summary of the episode. Ruby Sunday, named after the road where she was found, goes on a TV show hosted by Davina McCall to search for her birth parents. During the interview, they discover that strange accidents keep happening around Ruby, though she believes she is just clumsy. On Ruby's birthday, Christmas Eve, a mysterious police box appears on her street. Later, her foster mother Carla announces that a new baby, Lulubelle, will be joining their family. Davina calls Ruby to inform her that they couldn't find any information about her parents and wonders if she has been experiencing bad luck since the interview. As they talk, a Christmas tree falls on Davina during the call. Suddenly, goblins kidnap Lulubelle and take her to their spaceship. Ruby climbs a rope ladder to rescue the baby and meets the Doctor. They interrupt a goblin ceremony to save Lulubelle and escape. However, after the Doctor believes they are safe, he realizes Ruby has vanished into thin air. Now Carla doesn't remember Ruby or her other foster children. The Doctor realizes that the goblins have tampered with the timeline, erasing Ruby from it, along with all the changes she made to the world. The Doctor travels back in time to prevent Ruby's abduction at the church, successfully restoring the timeline. Ruby reappears in the present, but there's one last task to complete. The Doctor rushes to save Davina from the falling Christmas tree. Okay, so this is a very interesting plot summary and leak. Like I say, it's still possible that this isn't true at all, but obviously those tweets and the fact that they have now been deleted from that Twitter user does suggest that there could be some truth to this. And for me personally, I honestly don't mind this plot for the Christmas special. I've seen a lot of people have some negative reactions to it if it does turn out to be true, which I kind of get because it does seem very campy and a little bit silly, but at the same time, you have to remember this is an RTD Christmas special, and that's kind of the way they are. The plot is often very secondary to those stories, and it's more about the characters going along on some silly, campy plot, which I think is acceptable for Christmas, to be honest. Although this does seem to say a lot about Ruby Sunday as a character, and that she might not be some ordinary person that just joins the TARDIS as a companion, and there might actually be some alien interference in her life and in her timeline. Obviously, it does say that there's goblins in this Christmas special, which does sound a little bit silly, but I assume they're more just likely going to be alien that look a bit like goblins. Like, to humans, we would just be like, oh, they're goblins, when really it's just the design of the aliens, it's just what the aliens look like, and that's the closest thing we can relate to them. Also, the fact that these goblins are kidnapping people does kind of link up to what we've seen from filming. Like I said, there is a moment we've seen in the filming where Michelle Greenidge's character, who is speculated to be Ruby's foster mother, in this case Carla, being taken away in a taxi as Ruby shouts for her. So this could be like the goblins kidnapping her, or somebody kidnapping her foster mother for the goblins. So that certainly does back up that claim. We also know there's been some filming with babies for at least Series 14. I don't know if it was specifically the Christmas special though. So that could be for this baby Lulubelle. Even if that filming with the babies wasn't for this particular episode, it's possible that if this character Lulubelle is a recurring character in the series, that would also make sense. And also the fact that Davina McCall, a real life TV presenter in the UK, might be appearing in this episode playing herself is definitely something I could see RTD doing. It's similar to stuff that he's done in the past. He definitely had a lot of cameos from real life people and involved real life shows like Big Brother and The Weakest Link and stuff like that. So it's definitely something I could see him doing, especially for a Christmas special where they do tend to like having these celebrity cameos. And also, I'm pretty sure in real life, Davina McCall hosts or has hosted a show about this type of thing in the past where they're searching for people's birth parents and stuff like that. So it would kind of make sense. And like I said, with Russell, they could even mention the exact show itself in this, or just have some similar show maybe. This leak also mentions Ruby's abduction at a church, and filming for this Christmas special has been seen in like a graveyard and outside a church for a little bit. So that could back this up. It could also be that whoever's come up with this leak, if they have made it up, just kind of put the pieces together. And as well, it's worth mentioning that the name Carla has been seen written on pieces of the set in some behind the scenes videos posted to the official Doctor Who social medias. So this could back up the fact that Michelle Greenidge's character could be called Carla. It could also be, once again, that whoever's come up with this leak has just kind of put those pieces together, although it was a very difficult to spot detail in those videos. So I would be surprised if that is the case, but it is possible. The only thing I'm not sure about with this plot that I'm not necessarily sure that I like is the fact that the story is kind of resolved just by the Doctor going back in time and changing the timeline or restoring the timeline, and that he even goes back in time just to save a Christmas tree from falling on Davina McCall. But like I said, this does sound like it is just going to be like a campy Christmas special if it is true, so it's not going to be that crazy of a thing, and the plot's probably not going to be that deep, to be honest. So this absolutely is possibly true. Also, whilst we're on the topic of Series 14 and the mentions of Ruby Sunday being adopted, it's also heavily rumoured that this is going to be a big part of the Series 14 arc as a whole and for Ruby Sunday's character, and that also the Doctor is kind of going to be related to this in some way, as he's going to be able to relate to her being adopted due to finding out that he is basically adopted himself after the Timeless Child. And so it seems possible that the Timeless Child might be mentioned at least once in the Series 14 episodes, although it's probably not going to play that big of a part. It's just going to be like a passing comment to show that the Doctor is able to relate to Ruby in some way after finding out that he basically is adopted. And this could really add to their relationship, treating them more as like siblings or really good friends, as they've got that to relate to, and it could make the Doctor really protective of Ruby because of that connection that they've got. I personally think this is the best way to deal with the Timeless Child. Personally, I wouldn't mind if they just didn't bring it up again, but because Ruby's character does kind of relate to it in some way, it would make sense to just reference it and then just kind of leave it at that. We don't need them to dive into the Timeless Child thing anymore or delve into that yet. Maybe they could do it in a few years or something. But yeah, I think just a passing comment because of that connection, or just not mentioning it at all, is the best way to go for this. But let me know what you think. Do you think this leak is true? Do you think some of it's true? What do you think this year's Christmas special could be about from some of the filming and details that we've heard? But before we get this year's Christmas special, we're first getting 3 specials in November, and if you want to know everything we know about those so far, watch this video here.